Welcome to the long-awaited GCSE Art Year 11 sketchbook tour. We're starting with portraits and identity. And the first thing that I have here are some charcoal studies of skulls. This is basically like, it's really filler to be honest. I really like this one, it was like a huge lighting study. You can barely see the skull, it's mainly just shadow. Yeah. This is my kind of mind map page where I was thinking of where I wanted to take this topic. This is my second sketchbook in total out of 3, and she's talking about portraits. And then I was experimenting with features, using oil pastels, drawing my eyes, drawing ears, and I did a from life study. Some of the drawings on this page are questionable. The painting in the middle there is actually Lily Rose Depp, and yeah, so this was kind of me experimenting with different materials. I used soft pastels, acrylic, and then here it's all about line and figure drawing, and these are a lot of continuous line drawings, and some of them are of my friends. This one literally says like apologies in advance, so it really did not do them justice. Yeah, this was an exercise to kind of free us up a bit. And this is my first artist research page, and it was for Kehinde Wiley, who is this Nigerian American artist who did surrealist piece where he'd place POC, like black and Hispanic people, in the place that typically like English or aristocracy would be in, kind of juxtaposing that. And I went to the National Portrait Gallery's exhibition of that, or was it the National Gallery? I can't remember. And then this is me showing the paintings he was inspired by next to his paintings. Then I talked about William Morris because Kehinde Wiley's backgrounds are hugely inspired by William Morris, and I did some kind of copies or studies of his paintings, and then I also did my own kind of version of them. So then here are like the reference images, and these are my drawings. These are my versions of it. So I'm just kind of showing you like which one is which. But yeah, I'm really struggling to like, because I filmed this from above, so I'm really struggling to like flip pages and stuff. But yeah, I use ballpoint pens for these and coloured pencils for the ones in colour. And then the next page is basically talking about like visual language. So I took loads of artists like Holly Warburton, Kehinde Wiley, that I was inspired by. I liked their colour, I liked the way they painted. And now I'm moving on to identity. So I'm talking about what is identity. This page was a struggle because it kind of gave me an existential crisis. So I was trying to think, what is my identity? And then, oh, I actually skipped ahead a little bit. This is one of my, not final pieces, but like a kind of middle piece. And here, I'm using pencil and I'm drawing lots of pictures of me. This was so awkward because my art teacher took all these photos. And yeah, it was really uncomfortable. This is the outcome that I had here. This is, I think, an A2 pencil drawing. And then I'm moving on towards thinking about my final piece for this topic. This isn't the final one, but it's an experimentation. So here's the reference, and then here's the actual painting I did. It was an oil painting. And then I'm going to talk about it a bit later on, but I chose hibiscus flowers for the background because I'm Nigerian, and hibiscus flowers are kind of significant. Like, they're a very common plant in Nigeria, and I wanted to tie that in because usually the flowers he chooses have some kind of cultural significance. So here I'm digitally experimenting with how I'm going to do the hibiscus flowers before I paint it on the canvas. And this is a little booklet that I made. I really love making booklets. It's a booklet that's kind of showing like the oil painting and then trying to choose like what went well and what I'm going to do better. Yeah, with GCSE, annotations is so key. Like, you could literally do no paintings and just do annotations and you could get like an 8 or a 9. Yeah. So here I've moved forward and I'm thinking about my final piece, which is actually not in the sketchbook. And this is a painting of my sister, and it's based off the Armada portrait. And I'm linking back to my artist Kehinde Wiley by taking a colonial portrait and putting my Nigerian sister in it, which is kind of like a juxtaposition, putting us in positions that we would never usually be in. And yeah, so this was an acrylic painting, and I used a different art style, who is essentially inspired by Chameleon, who I love and I always talk about in my videos. This is an artist research of another Nigerian artist, Njideka Akinyili Crosby, who works with transfers a lot, and I've tried to experiment with them. They did not work out very well. But yeah, and I also looked at her kind of post-war colour palette and just talked about that. There's a lot of blank pages in this sketchbook. I should have glued them together. But now this is kind of like done right at the end, talking about global issues. And this is actually the end of my sketchbook for Unit 2, Identity and Portraits. So this is the externally set assignment, which was Our World. Well, I chose Our World. There were like a list of topics. I think one was reflections or something. And this is me kind of talking about my intention. I did this right at the end. Our World was an interesting topic, to be honest. So this is another mind map talking about different parts of our world, like culture, history, nature, and another thing that I actually can't read. And then this kind of page was looking at the evolution of art from Neanderthals to people like Yayoi Kusama, who are more contemporary artists. And then here I'm looking at 4 different art movements that I was inspired by: the Baroque era, the pop art era, Hellenistic art, and Surrealism. And here is a further study into the Baroque era. I look at Caravaggio, and I did an oil pastel study of The Taking of Jesus, and I analysed some of his other paintings as well. And then I'm moving on here to talking more about pop art, looking at literally one of my favourite artists of all time, Keith Haring. And I'm talking about his symbols, because in his giant street art pieces, he has lots of reoccurring symbols. And then I visited the Saatchi Gallery's street art exhibition, which was really good. It was a good break from work. And this is Silence Equals Death, which is a very interesting painting. I'd recommend looking it up after. It's about the AIDS epidemic. And then here I'm talking about evolution. Oh my god, this was like the lowest point for GCSE art for me, because I had no idea what I really wanted to do, and I just started drawing lots of monkeys in response to that. I don't really know. My art teacher was kind of enabling it, just me drawing monkeys. So I did a lot of ballpoint pen and ink stuff here. I was experimenting with a different style. And on this page, I'm kind of, on the left, I've drawn that was quite a big ballpoint pen study. And then on the right, I'm experimenting with different materials like oil pastel and acrylics. And now I'm looking at the rubber hose art style, which links back to Keith Haring, because in a lot of his pieces, he's inspired by like kind of commercial art, like Oswald, Mickey Mouse. Then here I'm trying to draw an orangutan in this art style, and also Darwin's finches. And I was experimenting with colour palettes, seeing if I should do a more realistic one or a cartoony one. And then this is a very busy page. There are lots of things stuck to it. So here I was further analysing some of Keith Haring's works, his more monochromatic works. And then on this page, I did some of my own Keith Haring inspired paintings. That is like something that I did with marker. This page was so confusing, like literally. So essentially these were done with just black acrylic paint, mixed a little bit of blue in, so it wasn't just completely black. And this is supposed to be kind of about evolution and about how we're kind of evolving backwards. So as I talked about before, these are some marker drawings. And yeah. So then I did a lot of writing. Annotations are so key. I said this earlier, annotations are so key in GCSE, like genuinely. And then this is like just a kind of experimentation. It's about evolution and how we may be evolving backwards. We've kind of reached our peak. And then this is a painting inspired by Baroque art. And it's like a giant A1 painting. And then Baroque art, a key feature is their dramatic lighting. So I got my cousin and we did like a little photo shoot and made a contact sheet of lots of different lighting angles. And the drawing I kind of I'm showing you here right now, are like some really bad ink studies that are mainly focusing on lighting. Like you can see the form of the face is inaccurate, but it's just kind of looking at the dramatic shadows and things. And in here I did it with oil pastel. That's why there's tracing paper on it so it didn't smudge. And then I keep going with that, but I do some digital outcomes. I did a lot of digital art during this portfolio, And here is me putting the paintings that I did before and transposing the digital pictures onto it to try and experiment what I wanted to do for my final piece overall. And then here is an example of that. And I did some analysis of which photo I wanted to choose, and I talked about like which one was the best one, which one, like, I don't know, conveyed what I wanted to convey. This is a little acrylic painting of my brother. I put it in because I don't know, I'd painted like all of my siblings except for him. And this is a colour study. It's not accurate like facially, but this one's a more refined version of it, and this was me preparing and choosing an art style to use for my final piece. And then I'm looking at brush thickness, and that is the end of my Year 11 art sketchbooks. Thank you so much for watching the video. Yeah, like, this has been really long awaited. I was waiting to get my Year 10 one back so I could do a full video, but I'm gonna just have to wait till after half term so I can collect it. Yeah, smash that like button. Yeah, subscribe for more videos. The next one will probably just be a general sketchbook tour or whatever. Comment down below what you think I should do for my next video. But yeah, see you guys next time.